and their macro. As such, let's move on over to the Land of Dawn as we celebrate the first game of today.
I love it. A celebration, right?
Oh,
This is
let's
the
go.
El Clasico. RSG up against Bleed with a little bit of difference. I think both of them a little shaken. So
A little
this
bit.
is going to be a momentum setting game, if you will.
I mean, he's going to set the pace for everybody here, right? I mean, to set the pace in RSG, set the pace for Bleed, as well as showing the cracks, right? It shows each team how are they going to see each other's cracks and how are they going to hit those cracks and, make use and take advantage of those weaknesses.
Yep, exactly. I think we also touched a little bit on the compositions. One difference that seems to stand out to me also is that RSG's comp is a little less committal than Bleed, right? You can pull with the Divine Judgment, you can disengage with Brace, Heavy Spin as well, but Bleed, once you go in, you expense everything, that's it.
That is very true. RSG have got a lot of ways to actually disengage, so that is one of the main things that I would like to say that it would work out very well for RSG. But for Bleed, when it comes down to opening the map, I gotta have to say that they do have the superiority over that. They have very long-range control with the high ground out of the God that doesn't expend an ultimate. And of course, they also have a Minotaur that actually have a good amount of healings to his own setup.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to see how this plays out. And like you said, they are very ultimate heavy. So right now, they're all gunning for that level 4 to see who gets their basically huge ult out first to be able to contest this big objective at the top.
Doesn't seem as though that Bleed wants to compete for the EXP just yet, because you can pretty much tell that the priority of the turtle is already going over to the side of RSG, with Bray, Fuji, as well as Diablo all supposed to be there already. JPL, KillVJ, and FMM a shy bit slower. However, they are still going to be the one that drags out the turtle. Diablo and Losing Cutie just showed themselves, and they are more or less prepared for a fight, only for Losing Cutie to be right in the face of the battle. It's just small little pokes in between by both of these two teams. Nothing too committal just yet.
Yeah, I mean, the moment Diablo shoved up the wave, he could join the fight and now putting some pressure onto JPL as well. But you can see that it's difficult for Bleed to just run up to that and contest it because you know that Bray has the heavy spin. So it's going to be a lost cause if you just walk up to them and expect to take the turtle.
And let's not forget about in a raw team fight. I guess in the early stages, Bleed doesn't really have as much raw firepower as compared to RSG. RSG's lockdowns are generally more of a higher class lockdowns. We have suppression. We also have got the knockbacks coming in from Bray. Well, the main thing that you gotta have to look out for is what comes after the these crowd control. Do you have crowd control immunity? Because unfortunately, when it comes down to the side of Bleed, they actually don't have a lot of that. The only one that has that is JPL whenever he goes into the Minuan's Rage.
And on the flip side, Buji himself has picked up a Purify, right? So there is more of a chance or opportunity for RSG to get away from that and disengage.
As the pickoff comes up right on top of FMM, the first blood going to be credited over to Oki. We also have Oki that's still going to be hanging around the backlines, but with that all said and done, KillVJ finds himself in the midst of it all. But Sekino jumps over the backlines with a perfect primal wrath that allows him to eventually take down 2 of the opponent's members at his own sacrifice. RSG and Bleed currently looking at a 3-4-3 trade. But the question is, who's the one that actually got the better out of the trade?
I mean, looking at the side of RSG, they actually lost Oki in that fight, which is very, very key, right? You don't want to be losing, especially your key damage dealer that you will be depending on. That being said, though, they're still kind of holding their fort there. You can see that Buji is a level ahead of FMM, so he is also going to be that secondary source of huge burst coming from the side of RSG. So at least they made it an even trade.
At least when it comes down to the raw firepower, right? The Faza definitely is a lot stronger, and you do have a lot more easier ways to actually work with the Feather Airstrike as compared to the Mystic Gun. Mystic Gun has like this turning animation that feels as slow as a snail, which can eventually bite you in the rear, and that is definitely gonna be a problem. But speaking of problem, that is the Mystic Gun that will be launching out onto Diablo, while KillVJ unleashed his wrath right on the turtle and takes it right under the nose of RSG.
Yeah, so this time it's going to go the way of Bleed here. So off the top of the other fight, they're going to slowly pluck up that for themselves. You see in the items here, looks like Deck has already gotten himself a hard toss, prioritizing that as the first item for him. So he's gonna be able to start putting out damage as well as keeping himself alive for a while. More Bougie putting out that feathered airstrike there.
Exactly, and Deck without the boots at all, he's gonna prioritize his items because he wants to get that, a Berserker's Fury, but Nibra's Passion, and as along with the Divine Judgment as well, just immediately melting out for FMM.
That's a game plan, right? You want to be able to start picking off people, and Oki right now already has 2 kills. Even though he died earlier on, but he has 2 kills. Now, bottom side.
RSG, they are going heavy and strong down at the bottom lane. JPL managed to dispel himself out of the heavy spin by his own Minoan's Rage, but unfortunately, that is not going to get him out of that danger. But he did manage to peel a lot for his team. Bougie went to the backside, and he managed to pop off with the fast airstrike. However, Sagitnu beelines himself onto Bougie, almost bringing him down, but at least KillVJ has managed to catch up to that gap, putting RSG with a 2-kill down, 2 death down on that side, while Bleed, I think that only one of them went down, 2 actually. So actually it's pretty confusing for me because it's 5-5 the current kill score, right?
Exactly, so it was a 2 for 2 right there. JPL, he did use that Minion Fury as well, just to get himself out of trouble, get himself out of the jiffy. But did you see how well he did it? He used that knock up, he flickered over the wall, and then he knocked it up again. RSG, they're just in a complete disarray.
Yeah, you can see that, right? I mean, the fact that they also lost Oki as well as Bougie in that fight is not... It doesn't spell positivity for them. Deck's gonna go ahead and pick up the Berserker's Fury as well. So even more damage in that fight. He was already starting to put up blows. Now, it's gonna be worse if RSG doesn't stop this onslaught, especially now that they're looking at the turtle down bottom.
Exactly, and Deck right now, he's losing a little bit in main, but he's going to be A-okay, and this time for the second turtle, they're going to be the last turtle, they're going to get pushed back though.
And it does seem that the Mythic Gush is trying to be pushed right down, allowing KillVJ and opening up some space for him to get the turtle.
Oh, but Deck, look at JPL.
Top lane, looks like the action is not over just yet, with Lucy Cutie falling prey to the hands of JPL's Minoan's Fury. Deck was almost down, and his HP down to a sliver, but not quite enough to bring him down.
Oh, that Feather Airstrike came almost in the nick of time, but Bougie was just a tad bit late. But as of right now, Diablo is actually winning up against Sagitnu, and Sagitnu may seem like he's winning, but look at Diablo. He's not afraid, he's just walking up. He's just, look at the amount of regen Diablo has. Infinite regen.
Right. Diablo knows that he can do this. He can push his lane and push the limits of what Uranus can bring. And right now, actually, 3 of them are down bottom, so it looks like they're looking to make something happen here.
Yeah, they're trying to siege the tower right there, and Bray locking and pinning down the Sagitnu, and they're going to be able to push and get him down and take the tower. But Bleed with a reply up top.
It's a good mirror, and now they are forced to do something about this. But unfortunately, it seems as though, okay, so that was a very crucial flicker coming from Oki. They had to concede the first defense turret in the top lane, but at least his life is spared.
Yeah, I mean, at least his life is spared as well. But this time, Diablo, he's still enjoying the push. He's still being able to push, and Sagitnu not, being taken out. And this time, Diablo able to take the tier 1 and tier 2 turret in one fell swoop.
I think that that's disrespect coming in from Bleed side. Like, they didn't really care too much about the Uranus in this very instance because of the fact that, once the first turret goes down, you're gonna have to answer to it. If you don't, then you can pretty much expect that the second turret tick will eventually happen. But speaking of that, JPL finds himself absolutely lassoed in and brought within the realms of the Feathered Airstrike. That is 2 ultimates already expended from the side of RSG, and they definitely shouldn't be looking out at another fight.
I mean, they might be though, right? They're rotating down to the Lord here, and they're looking at this huge objective now. Stun down from the RSG, so they spotted out in the bushes here, but Beat still wants to handshake this.
Bleed right now, they're a little bit behind RSG. I mean, they are at a 1.7k gold deficit as well, and RSG for the airstrike.
The Feather Airstrike did manage to come off cooldown really fast. Sagitnu had to pull off his primal wrap to hope that he'll be able to regen all the health back to himself. But the Lord was gonna be the main objective after all. It still went to the hands of RSG with a quick little fingers of Bray.
Yeah, without JPL being able to get there in time is really hard, right? Because they're counting on him for the Minoan Fury to set things up for the team. So Bleed kind of had to give that away, especially knowing that Bray with that heavy spin basically denied any form of entry from Kel, VJ, as well as Deck to do something about this objective. So they've managed to secure that and put that in the bag. It's going to come down the bottom lane here, and that's RSG slowly turning the tables here. They've been rather even for now, but you can see that it's creeping up to a tipping point. And as we say that, RSG might be setting up for something.
And with losing Beauty with the conceal play, unfortunately did not manage to really quite connect. They're looking at a 3 versus 5 game with all 5 members of the side of Bleed stacking onto the middle lane. They know how crucial this first defense turret is. They know that all of the entire river control is very important. As long as the first turret stays up, they are going to stay alive and they would not be steamrolled by RSG. They've got their priorities in play until now, unfortunately, because they gotta have to deal and respond to the bottom lane, while RSG responds over to the middle lane. Look at the Banana's Rage! Actually managed to blast through Sagitnu's armor, and they have got a great take from a single Lord.
That was the play, right? You get the bottom turret and also the mid. RSG was entirely grouped up to take that fight, and we could see that coming, but hold on!
Oki is right in the face of Bleed, unfortunately gets absolutely caught. While Buji and Oki, both of them are in the same kind of situation. Bleed, they managed to find the cracks within the armor.
I mean, nice counter engage here, knowing that RSG has spent a lot of their critical and crucial cooldowns in that earlier fight, taking down the turret. And I guess RSG staying there gave Bleed that opportunity to fight back and take something from them. Now the question is, what can this translate into for themselves?
As of right now, RSG, they're just trying to capitalize on the small little lead that they have and try to snowball that into a larger lead. But Bleed, they just keep on coming back. They're denying RSG to, to let RSG snowball the lead because they know how RSG can snowball with a lead.
Yeah, I guess that's what they're trying to look at now, right? And for RSG, it's about holding this small lead that they have over Bleed and seeing if that critical moment they can snap that and tip it over the edge such that it really helps to snowball. This is especially important when we're looking at this next Lord coming up on top in about 15 seconds. So you can see both teams just setting up for that right now, but RSG definitely has so much map control over Bleed.
Exactly, and RSG right now at the bottom half of the map, and Bleed, they're just walking right up. They're trying to gain map control. They're just trying to clear up bushes. They're trying to walk around, trying to have, vision and information on the side of Bleed, because we know Bleed thrive on information, but so does RSG. The moment, we saw yesterday as well, the moment the Star Shadow spots out somebody for a split second, they are rushing in.
That is one thing that we are realizing is the fact that we are looking at a split push coming from RSG. They went heavy down to the bottom lane and Bleed was completely blindsided by all of that. Let's not forget about the fact that we are looking at an Akai who have great amount of CC immunity within of his kit. As such, he will be able to get himself out of the Minoan's Fury very easily, while the Banana's Rage is going to be connecting down to the members on the side of Bleed. But we do have the backlines, or rather the frontlines coming from the side of Bleed. It's just going to be running right down onto RSG. RSG leaving Lucid Cutie down to the dust, finds himself dead, and so will Bray. But the main thing is, the Lord is already down, allowing RSG to get themselves quite a bit of a lead, despite the fact that Bleed only have got one person down, and that is Deck.
But I have to give it to Diablo as well. I mean, one man taking up 4 players coming up from Bleed. He just zoned them out, denying them from trying to even steal the Lord. And this time RSG, they're gonna get the Lord with 3k gold lead, and with the Lord pushing down at the bottom lane, Bleed, they are having their back against the wall. But what can RSG do here? RSG, they can capitalize on this lead, and Bleed, all they can do is just defend, but hope to, turn the tide within one solid good team fight.
They definitely have their backs against the wall here, right? And that was that one fight that tipped RSG over the edge. Not only did they get the Lord, they also got that bottom turret that didn't seem like they saw coming. So right now, RSG is going to stomp that down. And to what you said about Diablo, I would say that's just obnoxious. Not only his zone out all the members, he even took down Deck in that process. And that's
solo kill.
It shouldn't be allowed.
Exactly. I mean, he's just there zoning out and jumping all the way into the backlines of Bleed as well. And Diablo, he's just doing his job as an EXP lane. All he has to do is flank, soak up some damage, push some damage, and pull all the attention onto yourself.
It's all about creating space, at least
Yeah.
for the in the eyes of Diablo, right? But hold on a second, as it seems as though
Blue team
Sakito
hero
actually
has
found
been
himself
slain.
completely ambushed by RSG. Definitely not the sight to see for Bleed. I mean, that is what happens when you completely lose out every single one of your exterior turrets.
And that's also the thing with Bleed, right? Super committal. The way that they have to take the team fights, you have to full on engage into that and dive into that, spend everything you've got, and if you don't manage to, then that's pretty much it. Sagino face checking the bushes and losing his life because of that. Now they're one member shot, and it's going to be so tough for them to defend against this.
Oh, losing Cutie with a quick little flicker to try to catch on JPL. JPL did manage to pull off the final hit of the Minoan's Fury, but unfortunately shortly after, he's gonna go down. The top lane inhibitor turret is going to be under siege and taken down, while the Mystic Gush unfortunately didn't really have a lot of things that really enables Bleed. So right now, Bleed back against the wall with the middle lane creeps pushing right in. They don't have quite an answer to deal with all of that. They don't have FMN's Mystic Gush. They don't have Dex Ultimate that can eventually push RSG away as well.
I mean, let's take a look at the items that's going to be coming up on the screen right now. For FMM, he has to go with the Winter Truncheon as well. I mean, he's so afraid of getting killed. He has to go with the Winter Truncheon, but he goes for the Enchanted Talisman along with the Ice Queen wand and the Burning wand.
Yeah, and on the side of RSG, they're so tanky, right? They have the Blade Armors, Athena Shield, as well as a Radiant Armor to just soak up the damage basically the FMM and deck are outputting onto them. And so not only does Bleed have to turtle up, the moment they try to engage, it's going to tickle RSG, but it's probably not going to be enough to take them down in that fight.
Exactly, and then Diablo is just there, just soaking up all the damage, and Bray on the Akai as well, just soaking up the damage, and all they need is one good catch from Lucian Cutie. It all boils down to Lucian Cutie with the Divine Judgment as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, RSG, they have that catch potential. That really helps them a lot. Bray is also an answer over to JPL. At least he will be able to push the rest of the members from the side of Bleed away in the very event that his entire team got launched into the air by JPL. They have a lot of answers to what Bleed is trying to do. And I think the draft alone completely dictates as to what RSG can do and how they should be doing things. In the meantime, Diablo a little bit too deep. Despite the fact that they have got the Lord, he's going to be finding himself taken down by 5 of the Bleed members.
Exactly, and right now, Bleed, they're going to be playing a numbers game. They have 5v4 right now, but at the same time, when Diablo is going to be spawning out on the death timer, the Lord would be coming out as well.
Definitely. And this is going to be crucial, right? Vertigo, you were saying, we're waiting for that one big engage, but Bleed, they knew that Diablo was going to come and split push and be that threat to their lane. And they went down to take him out. So now RSG, one member down. Can they make this push here with this Lord?
It's a bit hard for the Lord to push in as well. I mean, right now, Bleed, they do have a numbers advantage, but RSG, they have the Lord. They have 3 waves pushing in as well. The Mystic Gush is there to try to chunk down the Lord.
I think that is going to be tough, but in regards, Bennett's Rage as well as the ultimate coming from the side of Fuji has already been expended. RSG has made the quick call to back off after they didn't really do a lot of damage over the Bleed at all.
Yeah, so the one advantage of this composition for Bleed is when you're trying to siege into their base, all 5 of them grouped up, this is exactly what they were made for, basically, right? So it's going to be tough for Diablo to kind of break through this defense here, and especially not with Diablo down, right? That was 4 members shot. So that Lord essentially, instead of Bleed contesting them for that Lord, what they did was take somebody out so that if ultimately they still render that Lord useless.
Exactly, and right now, RSG, all they have to do is to capitalize and try to win back the next lot and, punish Bleed, but this time Bleed.
Oh, I don't think that Bray is going to get himself away from that. He do have the immortality, but in the
Lucian.
meantime, Lucian Cutie just going to be going straight in, hoping that he will be able to hook down on the deck, but the lasso did manage to connect, while Diablo is going to be landing the finishing blow while everyone else is trying to work on something against him. Diablo needs to go down. They need to save deck before it's too late, but unfortunately, they weren't able to do so. Regardless of all of that, they may have lost deck. They may have lost that one member that helps them siege very well. But you need to remember this. RSG lost 4 men out of that.
Exactly,
huge.
4 members lost.
That was huge. I mean, they lost everyone, and it was also big that Diablo took out Deck there, right? Because without Deck, then it's harder for them to siege this down. And right now, the minions are also cracking down on their door here for Bleed.
Exactly, they're trying to crack down the door, and as well the minion wave is coming in, but our Bleed right now, they're trying to go for the M, they're trying to go for the sneaky peek, they're trying to go for the end. Lucian Cutie runs low, but look at Sagino, he's gonna be pushing.
I believe that Bray will come in with the clutch utility that they really absolutely needed. When it comes down to the heavy spin, he pushes Sagitnu out of the base. And even for Frederick, is going to be finding himself in a really bad spot. While all of these is happening, Bleed have to answer to that heavy lanes coming in from top and the bottom lane. So even when Deck comes back, he can't come in and help the rest of his team, allowing RSG to actually snowball that momentum and that tempo towards their favor over Bleed's unkindly venture into their base.
That was unfortunate, right? That was like a base race basically. They wanted to end it at that point, but the minions were just too much for them and they had to send somebody back to deal with that. And that's why what Diablo did in that previous fight was so important. Without Deck in that fight, they could have, with Deck in that fight, they probably could have ended it right there. So at this moment, RSG again is going to clock themselves and another Lord. The difference being now it's going to be a full 5-on-5 fight. So everything boils down to this one fight that could really tip the scales as how this is going to go.
Exactly, it all boils down to that one fight, and I have to give it to Deck especially. He popped the Wind of Nature, swaps out, buys the Rose Gold Meteor for extra shield, swaps it out again, and goes for Immortality if I'm not wrong. He swaps items constantly.
And now we are back to a stalemate. However, it is still leaning towards the side of RSG, as the Lord eventually just gonna be getting himself running down the middle lane, and RSG has managed to bring every single one of the crit waves pushing into the base, while we're looking at KelVJ completely suppressed down and completely pushed away. FMM is dead, KelVJ is dead, RSG, SG, they're looking to be on a steamroll right now. With Deck going down as well, there's no one else that can stop this 3-man plus the Lord, giving RSG this game 1 win.
First